Jefferson Robbins with NCWLIFE. The Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority is the main economic engine for the two counties. It consolidated in the 2019-2020 period. Jim Huffman has been with two different incarnations of the Port Authority now, when it was the Douglas County Port, and now, since its consolidation with Chelan County, he's running to retain his seat on the Port Commission. Jim, thanks for being here.
You bet, Jefferson.
Really appreciate it.
You bet.
I wanted to ask you, you have been commissioner for quite some time, since 1994 or thereabouts.
Yes.
But many people, if you are seeking their vote, might not be totally familiar with you. Can you introduce yourself to me as you would to a potential voter?
I don't have that much familiarity with regard to the port because I've been there such a long time, and I've actually never had a campaign before.
Really?
That's my first campaign since 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So I first came on the board to fill an unexpired term. My predecessor, Tom Reed, moved out of town, and they were looking to fill the position. I was at the Chelan PUD at the time, and as most people don't know, PUDs and ports have the same governing structure in their municipal corporations. They have to operate on sound business principles, but have, for the public's benefit, accountability and responsibility to the public. So anyway, I was at the PUD at the time that I was recruited to fill that unexpired term at the Port of Douglas. I was recruited by a banker and a general contractor. My predecessor was there and ran on the campaign that he wanted to abolish the port. Well, my friends at the banker and the general contractor realized that the port could be a really important tool for economic development in the county, and knew what my background was at the PUD, and I'd done some consulting work as well, and so recruited me to throw my hat in the ring for that position. There were a few candidates. I did throw my hat in the ring and was selected by the other two commissioners, one of whom is still on the board, Alan Loebsack, and Bob Corcoran at the time. So I moved into that position. I found it was fairly comfortable to slip into that position because of my background at the PUD. And then, unfortunately, in 1995, my daughter and her mother were homicide victims here in town. And as everyone can imagine, that's a complete change in your life. One of the things I didn't realize at the time, which I grew to understand, is that it's amazing how much of our time and our emotion and our efforts are directed at the future of our children. When they're gone, you don't know what to do with that, but you realize it's such a big part of you. And so in order to reestablish some path in my life, I contemplated on what I needed to do. And then it dawned on me that if we would just live up to the expectations and the hopes and the dreams that we have for our kids, then we'd be good parents. And so that was part of the motivation, which kind of was a shift for me in why I was at the port. Over time, I also went about to provide some community service in helping other crime victim families, and have done that I did that for well over 20 years. Another aspect of what happens during a tragic event is that there's an amazing amount of community support. And it's one thing to provide community support, and it's quite another to be a recipient. And I became very grateful for the kind of support that I received, especially in 1995. And I carry that forward today, and we're reminded of what community support looks like with the tragic deaths of the Decker sisters. I've talked to Steve Wilkinson, Granddad, and we share a common view of what community support really is all about. And I'm dedicated to continue to provide that community support, and in particular providing economic opportunities for young people. I'm having a class reunion this weekend, and I'm reminded of the fact that most of my classmates had to leave town in order to find some measure of success. It's too bad we can't grow our own. And so those are motivating factors for me and why I'm on the port.
It's possible that more people in the community know you as a survivor advocate and an outreach resource than might know you as a port commissioner.
Quite possibly, yeah. We've gotten more press lately just because of all the activity that we have going on. And so people might know me a little bit better than they did before. A lot of new people in town since 30 years ago also.
True. You have been on the port for some time, as we said. Why do you hope to remain on the commission? What led you to seek this next term?
We've had tremendous success, particularly since the consolidation of the two ports. And I see challenges coming up in the future with change in administration at the federal level. A lot of what we do depends on federal, state, and local funding. We try to partner with everybody that we can to support projects, but moving that forward, it's a changed environment. It also may provide for some opportunities. There's an emphasis on reshoring manufacturing. We're a little light on the manufacturing side in our community, and certainly wouldn't hurt to have perhaps some plans and programs that help stimulate manufacturing development. Specifically in the East WENATCHEE and WENATCHEE area.
You have been a Douglas County Port Commissioner before the port consolidated. So what's your overall assessment of the new port structure, the Regional Port Authority? Has it been able to do things and make constructive steps that you might not have been able to do otherwise as two separate entities?
Yes. One of the issues that arose that prompted the consolidation was disputes about the financing of the airport. Douglas County was in a difficult position to be able to meet a proportional economic share of operation and maintenance at the airport. So that was of some contention. We've jointly owned it for a number of years, but those issues would seem to arise every budget year when it came around. So those issues have gone away since we've consolidated. We used to treat each other as competitors, and now we're very solid allies, which makes a big difference.
You mentioned Pangborn Memorial Airport, which has been kind of a crown jewel for economic development in this area.
Yes.
For quite some time. The question always comes up, gosh, I love having a regional airport. I wish it had more flights to Seattle or flights to other destinations. What can be done, do you think, to attract more flights or flights to different points?
We've been working on trying to entice another airlines for quite some time with limited success. One of the things that we've had to deal with is significantly changing economics in the airline industry itself, starting primarily with 9/11, then followed on by recession, and following that with the pandemic. We've been very fortunate to be able to survive that. A couple of things that we've had to do is we had to extend the runway to be able to accommodate larger aircraft because that's where the industry standard was moving. We've done that. We've improved the navigation system into Pangborn and have reduced the weather-delayed flights by 60%, which is pretty significant. Another big change is that since they've moved to the larger aircraft, they now supply fewer aircraft to service the local area. Aircraft and pilot shortage has been a problem now for probably a decade, and we're trying to work through that as well as the airlines as well to be able to get more service.
And I recall when the shift came from prop planes to jets, that was part of the reason you had to adjust the runways and so on. Yes. The ports has the ability, the power, to establish TIF districts,
yes,
tax increment financing districts, where in a designated area, property tax revenues can be set aside toward future infrastructure
yes.
projects, and this is an aid to economic development. So some of the ports' use of the TIF responsibility, or the TIF power, has come under a little bit of fire from Chelan County. Is the Malaga TIF district proposal, is that the best use of the Ports Authority, do you think?
We've been successful in establishing one in Douglas County. We've proven that we've been able to manage projects that are part of building up new industry. Malaga, or Microsoft is a great example in Malaga. We've expanded the water system. We've done a number of small infrastructure projects that ultimately have led to Microsoft developing in that area. TIF is a way to expand that same concept, but to a larger area, and not with the use of current tax revenues, but with the use of projected future revenues from new industry that would come to the area. So it's a tool that allows you to have growth paying for growth, which we've heard a lot about in the last several years. It's been around the country. TIF has been around the country for probably about 50 years. It's just that it's relatively new to our state.
Particular priorities, Jim, that you would have if you're reelected to this next term for the next 4 years, things you want to see the commission push forward?
Well, I'd like to see perhaps an expansion of the trades district. We've been remarkably blessed, and the day that we opened, we had a full house. There's 12 incubator spaces for new upstart businesses, and there's an opportunity perhaps to add an additional dozen units. We already in advance were advanced $4 million through Maria Cantwell to do a phase 2. We had not anticipated that, so we're still trying to catch up and monitor how successful that we are with phase 1 and the 12 units that are there now.
Yeah, and the trades district has been something pretty constructive for new small businesses, a place where they can start out and see how far they can grow.
Yeah. Small Business Development Council, the Hispanic Council, and others and the college have been extremely supportive of this effort because it provides that kind of that interim step between like a high school education and maybe starting up your own business. This is a safer way to take a chance. And that's what American Spirit's really all about.
Jim, is there anything I didn't ask that you think people should know about yourself or your candidacy or your work with the port?
I've been at this a long time, and the development that you see on the north side of the airport with the Pangborn Industrial Service Area, I've been very directly involved in that since before we had fiber optic network. And that was one of the keys to providing better opportunities in our community was being perhaps even a leader on the internet front. So we've done that. One of the problems that we had in meeting our financial obligations at the airport was that the land that the Port of Douglas managed was just those that were on the airport property. We can't sell those. And so the only option would have been to a lease. What we found was that if in fact sewer were available on those properties, then that would expand the opportunity and the likelihood of bringing in some revenue from those properties. So we did the sewer expansion, and sure enough, the business started flowing out to the airport and across the road on the Batterman property in the Pangborn Industrial Service Area. With the limited success that we started out with at our business park, it really stimulated the concept and the idea of moving your business out there. And there's a big number of businesses out there now. We help very much in recruiting the Saby Corporation to that area, as well as Microsoft and Actapio and other industries. So we've been very involved in doing that, and I would like to see that continue.
Well, Jim Huffman, Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority Commissioner, seeking re-election.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for being here with us today.
Thanks, Jefferson.
You're watching the NCWLIFE channel.